Hello, I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my busy little shop. On today's episode of What's on My Workbench, I'm going to be working on a simplified leather pouch, and I'm going to put a strap on it. This one here is made so that you can have a strap that removes, but I'm going to make one that's even simpler than that. It's just going to have a loop of leather to use. So just a simplified little pouch, be used to organize things in your overnight bag or just a simple clutch to use while going to the market. I hope you're having a great day. So this is a very simple project. To get started though, I went ahead and I cut a piece of leather here. This is about a 3 to 4 ounce chrome tan leather. And this one is cut to 10 by 13. Obviously, if you want to make a larger one, smaller one, you could adjust this as well. So I cut this out, and then I'm going to round my corners, and that'll make it easier when I get to the sewing part. And I'm going to use my corner knife here that I purchased from Weaver. This is the 25 millimeter. A beautiful day here in central Arizona. I'm still waiting for a little bit cooler weather, but I'll tell you what, I see what some areas of the world are dealing with, and I should have nothing to complain about. So I've got the corners cut. I'm going to skive this leather. I'm going to thin down these edges. I'm going to be sewing about a 1/4 inch allowance. I'm going to skive back a 1/2 inch. So let me mark this on here. Yeah, I'm just kind of eyeballing 1/2 inch. Skiving's not for everybody. If you don't want to skive it, you can do this obviously without skiving it. If I was going to do that, maybe I would choose a little bit thinner leather to make it out of. But I like the body of this to be thick enough to where it kind of stood on its own, so to speak. This is it was a fairly inexpensive skiving knife that I purchased from Aaron Heiser at Maker's Leather Supply. I'm going to tell you, a little bit of practice and you can do really well with a skiving knife. The key though, it needs to be very sharp. When I get ready to turn to the next corner, I'm going to take a couple of strops on my stropping board, and it'll make a big difference. So when I'm skiving this, I'm taking it down pretty much to a feather edge. Skiving's out of the way. The next thing I need to do is to install my zipper. This one here, I purchased this zipper here locally. The color's London Tan 7. I could probably create a pattern for this, but I make it from different sizes depending on the leather that I have available. It's really pretty easy to lay out on here. So I'm going to be in about 1.5 inches This is how that zipper comes out. And I'm in about well, probably a little more than an inch here, but then you've got your fold and the seam allowance. So I'm gonna come in 1.5 inches from the edge of the leather. And since it's 13 inches long, the halfway point 6.5 inches. I'll put a mark there. All right, now that I found my, you probably can't see it, but I've got a little spot here that I marked. I'm going to put my punch on that. It's a 1/2 inch punch. Next, I'm gonna cut. Some of you may have watched when I make my clutch. It's got a pouch on the back of it and all that. This is how I start the pouch part of that clutch. Just line up on the outside of these circles and cut from one to the next. You have to be careful that you don't nick this curve here. So I'll start here, short of it. And then when I get to the other end, then I'll just lower this knife and nick that where I don't get the inside of that circle. If you're making a clutch that has a removable strap, then keep this, because this will be what holds the D-ring that you're gonna latch into, so you won't waste that part. Next, I'm going to install my zipper here. And it's gonna look like that. I think that's a good color combination on that. One here is a 9-inch zipper. A lot of times I'll use a 7-inch zipper. This one's a 9. And so what I'll do is I'll install, turn this over and show you. You could use one that's 3 feet long if you wanted. I'm gonna install it so that this little stop is just buried underneath the edge of the leather here. And then I will just trim the other end off. So it works easy that way. A lot of times I'll buy whatever the biggest zipper is that's in that price bracket, because usually they're grouped together by price. So it'll go in there like that. And then obviously the zipper part will be inside the opening. Like that. All right. So to install the zipper, I'm going to put double-sided tape around this. I've got some 1/8 inch wide Ted's tape from the buckle guy that I'm using here. You could glue it in too, I suppose, but it's easy to make a mess on your zipper that I don't want to do. You could make these fairly small, little coin purses too. This is probably the hardest part, just lining the zipper up to get it centered in that space. I'm gonna sew this on my sewing machine. It would be easy enough to do by hand as well. Once you get the zipper installed, you would just make your holes like you normally would and stitch that in. You'll see that if you keep your tape line nice and straight parallel with this, then you're able to use that as a guide for installing the zipper. Once again, make sure you have the zipper mechanism in the opening there. I got one side on, let me flip it over. I'm a little bit off center, pull that back off, reposition it. That's pretty good. Make sure down here that you try to keep in a nice straight line with the area before the zipper mechanism. And then you'll want to be careful where this metal piece is here when you're sewing, because you'll break a needle if you hit that. Okay, let's get this sewn in place. Now obviously I can't use the flip down guide very well here, so I'm gonna have to eyeball this. You can put a little crease line there, but this chrome tan leather really doesn't take a crease very well. And I don't need to do a back stitch since I'm going to be I'll overlap when I come back around. That'll lock the threads in. If your preferred method is hand sewing, then this works just fine as well. You can lay out your stitch line. You can use your pricking irons to mark it, or you can use stitching chisels to make the hole all the way through. That double-sided tape is really just to hold it long enough to get it sewn in place. This is a nylon zipper. I don't worry about the teeth on it. If it was metal, you'd have to be careful you didn't break a needle. And you can always hand feed the sewing machine if you're trying to ease into something to find out where that metal's at. Now I'm going to just run back over these stitches. And lock them in. All right, I've got the zipper sewn in place. When you get ready to sew this back to back, you want that zipper open because you're gonna have a challenge if you don't have it open. So I'll just open it now so I don't forget. Next thing I need to do is cut the wrist strap. I need about a 14-inch long piece of leather for my wrist strap. Let me straighten up this edge here. Okay, now I've got a nice clean edge here. I want to make this wrist strap about 5/8 of an inch wide. There we go, 5/8 by 14. I think that'll be good. So next we need to sew this together. I like the strap on the closed zipper end. I guess in my imagination, if it's not closed all the way and you're carrying it this way, stuff won't fall out. But if you had it the other way and this was downhill, stuff would, be more likely to fall out. So I'm gonna put it on this end here. To help hold it in place, I'm gonna use some double-sided tape. I'm gonna put it between the two layers, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch long piece of it. Wrap 2 times around the end here. It just helps me keep it in spot while I'm working with it. Simple little project. You can make various sizes. It's a good way to use up the leftover pieces from other projects as well, or just a good project to help build your confidence. And I like it down a little bit from the top. So I'm just gonna lay it in here like that. And then I don't want it to end up twisting on me. So I'm gonna take a clip and I'm gonna clip it here. Help keep it from moving. Now we just need to fold this over. Line this up and sew it. And I'm not going to put tape on it. You can put tape on it if you want. I've sewn a few of these. This leather doesn't move a whole lot on me, so I don't think I'm gonna need to. So I'm gonna take this over to the sewing machine right now and we're gonna sew this together. Once again, you could hand sew this. A few binder clips here to hold it in place. Work the camera here. I'm gonna start about 3/4 of an inch down here and I'm gonna back stitch up. And I'll use my guide here, help keep me my sewing allowance. All right, I did 2 stitches on a diagonal on the other end. So I need to do 2 down here to try to keep my corners aligned. I should probably say not keep my corners aligned, but keep them so they look the same. That's pretty thick here where that strap goes through. I want to make sure that I'll pull a little bit here to make sure that it doesn't get caught up trying to make that step. Now I'm going to reverse and back through that strap. Once again, you could hand sew that. This is one reason why I bought the sewing machine, is for doing these clutches and such. I didn't want to not do them because of the hand sewing, but I'm not using the sewing machine on my belts. So we've got it sewn now. We're gonna turn it right side out, see what it looks like. Trying to be really careful not to put too much stress on the zipper while turning this right side out. Obviously, if you did them smaller, it's going to probably be more of a challenge to turn right side out. You could do thinner leather and it'd be easier. Obviously, you can see if you did thicker leather, it could be a challenge. I know, I'm trying to be careful. Maybe this is the hardest part, I don't know. I'm probably trying to be too careful with it, but I don't want to ruin it. But obviously these stitches in the leather should be pretty durable. I've used a small dowel rod before to help push on the inside on some of the corners. You could make a larger one if you wanted it for like to hold a book, or maybe you need one to hold your legal pad. You could make them long or wide, however you wanted to make them. And here we go, a little bit of forming work here and it'll be ready to go. Just a simple clutch. You know, maybe it's something to carry with you. You don't have to worry about scarring it up on something. Just a simple little clutch or zippered pouch, however you want to describe it. Well, there you go. I hope following along here would encourage you to try a project of your own. This is a nice little project here with the sewing machine. It goes pretty quickly. I think I spent probably about 50 minutes making this from starting to cut out to having it finished here. You know, if you're hand sewing, it would take a little bit more time, but that's okay. And it's a nice, fairly inexpensive gift. You know, got Christmas coming up. You know, maybe a set of these would be good stocking stuffers for family members. So you got a pretty nice little zippered pouch here. I appreciate you being here. If you like my content, please consider subscribing and share it with somebody else. Have a great day.